Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and as promised before, I have 5 Snapdragon 820 based phones. Some of them ex-flagships, some of them not so much, but I wanted to bring this video to you and talk to you about several different components and why these phones are still great today, a year later, and why they still should be considered as flagships, why they should be considered as something potential you can buy for a reasonable price and to use for the next year or even more. We're going to cover several different things like price, performance, screens, battery life, overall performance, price to performance ratio and all that, and see who the real victor is going to be. Probably going to do a 2-part video, part 1 and part 2, because there's tons of things to talk about these phones. But right off the bat, let me just talk about the coverage possibility in the US. Again, this is all based on the coverage in the US and where and how you can use these phones. So talking about coverage, let's quickly go over the one that you're not going to be used 100% here, and this is the Mi 5. So unfortunately the Mi 5 is a great phone. I absolutely love it, but it cannot be used on Verizon, first of all, and second of all, even on T-Mobile and AT&T. Most likely you're not going to get 4G LTE on most spots. I'm living in Atlanta, and this is fairly big city, about 6 million people here, and we still I've tested in many areas and I still can't get 4G LTE on this phone. So for me, this is a phone that I can exclude automatically out of this group, but at the same time, you know, I can talk about maybe some of you that are outside of the country interested in this phone. It's still a pretty good buy, so let me talk about it first. Currently the price is around $200. Even for the lowest one, I think is around $200. Then the one that is with 64 gigs of internal storage is around $230, and then the top one, I'm not sure if you can even find it, but it's probably going to be around $300. Still great build quality, glass and aluminum, Type-C, infrared port, Snapdragon 820, 3 gigs of RAM, 32, 64, or 128 gigs of internal storage. Not expandable, but that's okay. 5.15 inch screen, a full HD, pretty bright, absolutely great. And if I have to position it, you know, among all these other ones, probably going to be the last, just because of the coverage. That is not possible here in the States. But if we exclude that, it's a great option, great phone. If you live outside of the United States, probably should be one of those that you should consider. So excluding this one, let me continue and talk about the rest. Alright, now that we have the Xiaomi Mi 5 away from the group, because of the reasons we talk about, let's move on to the next ones, and let's talk about the first thing. This is coverage. So coverage, we already talked about the Mi. Let's talk about the rest of them. So this one, the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, you can use across pretty much all providers in the United States. You can use it with Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, a lot of the smaller GSM providers. Sprint has a variant. Even the unlocked version supports all the networks, so you're good to go. LG G5, the RS988, which is this US unlocked version, again supports almost all the providers. I think the only one excluded is Sprint. I'm not 100% sure about that. I cannot confirm. But Verizon, you're good to go. T-Mobile, AT&T, you're good to go. Going to the Li Echo Lib Max 2, unfortunately, only GSM providers are supported at this moment. T-Mobile, AT&T, and all their smaller providers, they use their network. And last but not least, the Lenovo Zook Z2. This one supports Verizon, supports T-Mobile and AT&T. Again, I'm not sure about Sprint, but I'm a Verizon subscriber, so this is one of the major goals I have when I buy a phone, to be able to work with Verizon if I'm going to be able to use that phone all the time with Verizon. And this one works with no problem. I think in one of my previous videos I talk about the reasons why some brands work on Verizon and some don't, although they still support the frequencies like the Limax 2. So let me know if you want another video for me talking about that and letting you know what are the reasons. If not, let's continue through. So coverage, if we have to necessarily select one top winner on coverage, it's going to be really hard because you know, all of them kind of serve the purpose, but probably it's going to be the Galaxy S7 Edge. Again, we have different factors here, price and everything else. And throughout the video, guys, it's going to be really difficult to distinct and point out a finger to one absolute winner, because those phones are so similar, they deliver such a similar performance, and the only thing we can really separate them in a bigger, larger scale, that's going to be the price. So maybe this is one of the factors we can talk about. So moving on straight to that, that's a great segue. Let's talk about pricing. So currently the Galaxy S7 Edge, it's the most expensive among all of them on the table. This one goes around $400 unlocked, I believe, on eBay, brand new. Some sellers have it a little bit over, but really close to $400. So if your budget is not, you know, that low, if you can kind of splurge a little bit more and spend close to $400 or a little bit over $400, the absolute winner, it's going to be this phone. We're going to talk about the rest of the components that makes it a great phone, but again, $400, it's again a lot of money. So if you have it and you don't mind buying the last year flagship, go ahead and grab it. You know, it's a great phone. Next thing on the list is going to be the LG G5 for the $270 that I paid for, brand new, unlocked to work across almost all providers in the States. For me, absolutely great price. And if your budget is up to $300, so if this is up to $400, go for it. If your budget is up to $300, go for the G5. I think you're not gonna feel sorry. Absolutely stellar stellar performance, sorry. No lag, absolutely smooth experience, especially now with the latest not marshmallow, nougat on it, of course. And the Samsung still lags, I'm sorry, but TouchWiz, even with the Android N, still has some lags, and I have not seen a single lag on the G5. Also, we're going to talk about the rest of the components after that and why I believe this phone is one of the best among all of them on the table. Again, if your budget is under $300, go for this one. So for the last two, let's talk about the Limax 2 first. Price at the time of purchase was under $200, so if your budget is under $200, you have a few options, so don't go straight to this one. We're going to talk about the differences and why is this better and why is this better and some other things. But the price was $189, and I believe for the price, and it's absolutely amazing considering the hardware that this phone is packing, which is so similar to the rest of them. Great. And if your budget is really tight and you can't even spend, you know, $200, but you're more like $150, $160, $170 that's kind of in your pocket, and that's what you can spend, go for the Lenovo Zook Z2. When I bought it, it was $169, I believe. Currently, it's still around $160. Around, you know, that same price across many sites. Again, they're starting to deplete their stock, and if you want to buy it, you better be quick, because soon I believe this phone is going to disappear. For the price, I believe this phone is absolutely great. Delivers a great performance, at the same time works on Verizon with text, voice over LTE, MMS, data, everything, no problem whatsoever. So another, you know, great phone. So we got the prices out of the way. At the end, we're going to talk about price performance ratio and which one is probably going to be the best. But then moving on to the performance. So performance across almost all of them is very close. But if we're gonna have to put in the numbers, let me just open the Antutu scores and line them up so you can see. So this is the Antutu score on the Galaxy S7 Edge, 148,207, which is absolutely great in my mind. I think you know, especially with Marshmallow, the score got bumped a little bit more. I think in the past I've seen lower than this, but right now it's a lot better. And right next to it, the LG G5. This is the score on LG G5, 148,969, a little bit higher than the Samsung, which is great. This is the absolute winner when it comes to points across all of them. This one, I mean, granted by not a lot, it's still more than the Samsung. And then we have next the Limax 2, and let me see what the score here was. So the Limax 2 has a score of 138,921, and this is the highest I can get at this moment. Some people are reporting higher, but this is what I can get. Maybe, you know, we'll go to up 140, a little bit over 140. But considering that you know, the phone is $200 or less, I think it's absolutely great, and it's still very similar experience. And don't just, you know, look at the numbers and think it's an absolute winner to have these. This one delivers a very smooth performance as well. And then finally going to the Lenovo Zook Z2. Here is the performance on it. And the Lenovo Zook Z2 has 148,417, so very close to the performance of these other ones. And of course this one stopped. Let me open it again. So very close to the performance of the LG G5 and the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. Again, considering these are significantly more expensive than the Lenovo Zook Z2, this is absolutely great. 148,417 for this phone, great. So performance, real world performance, let's talk about that real quick. I already mentioned that the Galaxy S7 Edge, it's still a little bit sluggish, still a little bit laggy. Even with the latest, I still believe that they need to work a lot on that fluidity and make it more easy to use. LG G5 delivers very smooth, great performance, no lag whatsoever, very snappy. I haven't seen any crazy thing going on that I've seen here. The Limax 2, especially with the custom ROM, you know, I'm running the Koku 92, latest one, absolutely stellar, no problem whatsoever. You know, I'm even using the Pixel launcher, so absolutely great, super fast, no problem whatsoever. So can't really compare to these because these are stock launchers that they provided. And going to the Lenovo. The Lenovo is the most modified. Of course, doesn't have an app drawer, but at the same time, you know, easy to install Google Launcher or any of the other launchers that you might have or like. So again, the experience is very similar. At the same time, very fast, no lag whatsoever. Like I've never seen a lag on this phone, and I used it constantly for over 2 months as my personal day-to-day driver. So very smooth. So if we talk about here, these three will be the smoothest, and the Samsung is a little bit laggy, but we know how that is. So let's quickly move on to the next category, the screen. So talking about screens, it's going to be again very different here. We have AMOLED screen, we have IPS LCD screen, we have IPS LCD screen, and we have IPS LCD screen. So this one clearly is the absolute winner. For me, AMOLED is great. The colors are great, vibrant. It's 2K screen, 2K screen, 2K screen, and we have 1080p screen right here. And I'm getting tons of notifications. So with this one, 5.5 inch 2K. This one is 5.3 inch 2K, 5.7 inch 2K again, and then we have 5 inch 1080p. This one is the most pocketable. If you want a phone that it's really not going to fill your pockets and you're going to be able to carry it around everywhere with ease, go for this one. Some people prefer smaller screen. 5 inch in my mind is nothing bad at all. But if you really are going for real estate and the biggest one, go for this screen, 5.7 inch, 515 ppi, 2K. It's absolutely gorgeous screen. These are beautiful absolutely as well. If you want the middle ground, go for 5.5 or 5.3. All the screens are good. For me, this is the clear winner because it's the AMOLED technology, but again, we're talking about $400 versus $200. So again, make up your mind. How much is your budget, and from there go down to the components and figure it out what is really that you want. Okay, going on to the next one, battery life. So battery life, this is going to be one of those things that it really make, you know, or break the deal for you. And let's quickly cover that. Battery life on the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge is great. 3600 milliamps, will last you throughout the whole day, no matter how hard you're pushing this phone. With my moderate use, I still have about 50-60% by the end of the day. So really great. The LG G5 has the smallest 2800 milliamp battery, but at the same time, this is user replaceable. So you can pop that out, swap another battery, and from 0 to 100% you go in a seconds. So you don't have to think about, you know, quick charging or any of that. Although all the phones support quick charge 3. Again, 2800 milliamp battery with moderate use, and I tested that multiple times. By the end of the day, I still have about 20-30%, sometimes even more. So if you're a heavy user, I still believe throughout the whole workday, this phone is still going to last you for the whole day. This one, the LiMax 2, has 31 milliamp battery, 3100 milliamp battery, and it's still good for all day use, not lose obviously, not only with moderate but heavy use as well. I've tested that. I've watched videos, used a GPS, snap photos, and still is good. By the end of the day, I have 20-30%. And the absolute winner among the batteries in my mind is the Lenovo Zook Z2, 3500 milliamp battery with smaller 1080p 5-inch screen. Absolute killer. Moderate use, by the end of the day, I still have 60-70%. Heavy use, I still have 40-50%. This phone is absolutely great on battery. Has very kind of aggressive memory and app management, which with combination of a big battery gives you the absolutely great experience of having a long battery life. You can take that phone and even somewhere to a one-day trip, and if you forgot your charger, you don't even need to sweat about it because it's going to last you. Very good battery life. If you go for battery life, go for that phone. It's going to last you very long. Second on battery will be this one. Third, this one, because you can replace it, and then probably the Lenovo LiMax 2 will be the last one. So moving away from batteries, like I mentioned, already, all of them have USB Type-C. This one is the only one to use the older version, and probably that's one of the most annoying things about this phone that I absolutely hate, but it is what it is. Still, all of them support Quick Charge 3.0. Now, let's talk about the end of this video about the camera real quick before I'm going to do the part 2 of this video and kind of talk about a few other things, and we can do the conclusion. But let's talk about the camera. Camera, it will be very close between this one, the Galaxy S7 Edge, and the LG G5. I've seen amazing shots from this phone and amazing shots from this phone. Maybe I will give slight advantage to the G5 because of the dual camera setup in the back. Obviously with the wide angle 135-degree angle camera, which is great for those wide angle shots if you want to take them outside or when the lighting is great. Both of them have optical image stabilization, both of them shoot on 4K, both of them do 1080 at 60 frames per second. Both of them have SD card slots so you can save those videos and photos on them. Both of them have very good night shots. This one has a laser assisted autofocus as well, which helps. But again, slight advantage towards the LG G5 because of that wide angle camera in the front. Wide angle camera is pretty good as well in my opinion. The other ones, probably this one, the LiMAX 2, will have an advantage over the Lenovo Zook Z2 because it has 21 milliamp, of course, 21 megapixel Sony sensor. Also has an optical image stabilizer on it. Great shots during the day. Day shots are amazing. Video is image stabilized as well. At night it fails compared to these, but again, this is the story for pretty much all the Chinese brands phones. But again, I think it's a very good camera if you're really not relying on it 100% of the time at night, you know, low light and all that stuff. And last, it's going to be this one on the Lenovo Zook Z2, an optical image stabilization, 13 megapixel in the back, 8 megapixel in the front. Again, very good images during the day. If you have a steady hand and you don't want to, you know, run around and do videos and stuff like that to stabilize, you're not gonna, you know, you're gonna be getting pretty shaky videos if you rely on that. But you know, if the camera is not something that drives your choice, this phone is still great. So that's pretty much it for this video. I know it's pretty long. I'm gonna resume on part 2 and talk about some of the other things, but for now, thank you very much, guys. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video, it really helps me a lot. Subscribe if you're new. There'll be a lot more coming very soon. I have some more exciting phones coming to me very soon, and of course, as always, you have a wonderful day.